Caffeine. Everyone drinks it. No matter how you consume it, everyone's got to get their fix. Your parents probably have a couple cups of coffee in the morning. You probably drink 2 Red Bulls to make it through your 8-hour shift at a retail job. Am I projecting? No. I don't. Hell, your little brother's probably chugging a Mountain Dew at his friend Jason's house, and they still haven't won a game of Fortnite. Ugh. Got it. The caffeine consumption in the modern era has skyrocketed from about 50% of US Americans in 1980 to about 85%. Holy shit, that's like a lot of people. But along with this increase has become a lot of questions surrounding this drug, and how safe is it to be drinking? Today I want to see why there's been such an increase in caffeine intake in the last 45 years, and do all of these more recent downsides outweigh the pros? To start this, we need to go back to the beginning and create some groundwork on what caffeine is and how it became popular.
Maxwell House, the coffee that tastes as good as it smells every time.
Caffeine is the most widely used psychoactive drug in the world. It naturally occurs in cocoa beans. Cocoa beans. The origins of coffee, the most widely used way to consume caffeine, goes all the way back to the 1500s, where plants were taken from Ethiopia and cultivated in Arabia. There's a legend that some Arabian goat herd dude saw his goats and he was like, yo, these guys are tweaking. I gotta try this shit. Coffee spread throughout European countries in the 16th and 17th centuries. Sometimes it would get prohibited, but sometimes it was also used medicinally. At this point, coffee was really only being produced in Yemen. But as its popularity grew, coffee cultivation began in Hawaii in 1825, as it became more common in the United States. Production picked up in the 19th and 20th century as more countries began to produce coffee, like Colombia and Brazil. And then in 1950, instant coffee was created, and coffee machines became extremely popular, leading to one of the biggest peaks in caffeine consumption in the US. The average cup of coffee is 95 milligrams, which, you know, isn't too bad. The average American can consume 400 milligrams of caffeine a day without any negative health side effects. And so you're probably thinking, oh, most people, have 1 or 2 cups of coffee a day and move on. Like, what's the big deal? Well, this number might be misleading if you add on a couple factors. This guy right here. Coffee shops, especially chain ones, have grown in popularity a ton in the last 30 years. You have places like Starbucks, obviously, and Dunkin' Donuts, and Dutch Bros Coffee. They got cool fancy drinks that are way too fucking expensive. But I'm bringing them up primarily to talk about this misleading number that I just mentioned. Remember like 20 seconds ago when I said the average cup of coffee is 95 milligrams of caffeine? Well, let's say you're at Starbucks. You want a cold brew? You're feeling a little spicy today. You might want a large. Well, that'll land you, I don't know, like 310 milligrams of caffeine. That's a little bit more than 95. Okay, you're pushing the limit on your daily intake with one of those. So along with the popularity of these coffee shops, the amount of caffeine in these beverages has increased a ton as well. I mean, have you seen the 911? The 911, dude? Which sure, may not be a problem. You have one big caffeinated beverage and you might be a lot more shaky than you usually are, but you're not gonna die. But, unfortunately, not everyone is hyper aware of how much caffeine is in what they consume. Which is fine, but when you start increasing the amount of caffeine in drinks, and people aren't thinking about it, that's where the danger can lie. Panera Bread. As you can see, this is a Zoop, not a Panera Bread. We do not have a Panera Bread. Panera had a controversy a couple years back selling a drink called Charged Lemonade. The Charged Lemonade was not well labeled as a caffeinated beverage, and it allegedly led to the death of 2 people due to its high caffeine content. A large Charged Lemonade from Panera Bread has 390 milligrams of caffeine. That's a lot of caffeine. If you remember when we talked about the 400 milligram daily intake, like 30 seconds ago. Now, obviously this sucks and is horrible, but it's not a blanket statement to say that, caffeine is awful for you. You should never drink it. One of the people who passed, unfortunately, had a heart condition, and due to the irresponsibility of Panera and not labeling their drinks well enough, she unfortunately passed. Does that mean if you were in the same position, you drank a large Charged Lemonade, that it would be fatal? Probably not, but it should make you think and watch about how much caffeine you are consuming on a daily basis. Okay, so we've talked about the increased popularity in coffee and the increase in caffeine in these beverages, but there's one big factor that we haven't talked about yet. Energy drinks have exploded in popularity in the last couple decades, thanks to the creation of Red Bull in 1987, later being introduced to the US in 1996. Red Bull's marketing is a huge reason that they were so popular in the beginning, having these cool animated little ads, sponsoring a ton of extreme sports athletes, and a lot of other energy drinks followed suit with this type of marketing, like Monster and, was it Rockstar? But the target audience for these beverages is less extreme sports players and more average retail workers and college students who are trying to get a lot of work done. And it makes sense. Like, why can't I tide over my shitty 8-hour shift with a nice little sweet treat that gives me an energy boost? With energy drinks' big rise in popularity, as well as controversy similar to the Panera one we've talked about, it's safe to say a lot of people do not like these drinks and think they are not safe to consume on a daily basis. Which, yeah, it's totally fair to think. I mean...
Alright, we're here to take over. I am the beast!
I did not age well. But according to the National Institute of Health, it's not really the caffeine you should be worrying about in these beverages, but more the other neurostimulants like taurine or carnitine that they don't know the full effects of long term. But as most things in life, they're usually safe in moderation. Most studies on this topic focus on overconsumption. So if you're popping a regular sized Red Bull a couple times a week, then no problem. You also have to be aware of the caffeine concentration though, because the faster you ingest the caffeine, the more adverse effects you could experience. The National Institute of Health says do not take the Demon Energy shot. Don't take it. I know you want to take it. Don't take it. But since we're here, I kind of want to talk about the culture surrounding energy drinks. Because along with controversies of high caffeine content, come a lot of brands trying to cash in on the energy drink craze. You have Celsius claiming to be a healthier alternative to other energy drinks. You have Reign, which is like marketed at lifters, I think. You have Bang, which is like, you know, Bang. I don't know. Remember when people did those like completely unrelated videos and they were just like holding a Bang energy drink, and the video had nothing to do with the Bang, and it also like was all absolutely an undisclosed ad? I remember that. An interesting thing about Bang I just discovered was that they went bankrupt because Monster sued them for false advertising because they claimed their drinks had super creatine and was a miracle drink that can help cure neurological disorders like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. What? And so after Monster sued Bang and won, Bang filed for bankruptcy, and Monster bought the company. I didn't know any of this, man. I guess now I gotta figure out a way to tie that into the topic. Well, it does show how much money these energy drink companies have. After Monster sued a company for $300 million, they just casually bought it out. So yeah, this shows how energy drinks are such a big part of this caffeine market that we've been talking about. Boom, tie-in. Now for most of the video, I've been on the defense of caffeine, and most of what I said I stand by, but a lot of the things I'm saying apply to adults. I think a lot of the yummy sweet Starbucks drinks appeal a lot to kids who should not be consuming that amount of caffeine. I think a lot of marketing of energy drinks is also nefariously targeted towards kids with some of these super colorful cans. Like, look at these. If I was like 12 or 13 with my friends at the mall, I would absolutely want to buy and drink that shit. It's in a similar vein to the really colorful and fruity vape flavors that look like slushy cups. And you have companies like Logan Paul and KSI's Prime, which is directly marketed towards kids, and they're making energy drinks that have like 200 milligrams of caffeine. So kids are of course going to want to drink these, and they should never be consuming that much caffeine. The American Academy of Pediatrics says that kids 12 to 18 shouldn't be consuming over 200 milligrams of caffeine a day, if any. It can cause sleep disturbances and anxiety and heart issues in children. And while these are risks for adults as well, it's extremely high-end when you're a kid. So I love these beverages behind me. I think kids should keep their grubby ass little hands off these things. So I think we covered a lot of bases. We discussed the rise of coffee in America, energy drinks' contribution to the rise of caffeine consumption in the last few years, the increased amount of caffeine in these beverages and others, and the dangers of overconsumption. And I think if you're to take anything away from this video, it's that you shouldn't be stressing about caffeine as much as you think you should, but you should definitely be aware of how much you're drinking. And to check, even if you don't think a beverage has caffeine, check, because you never know if you're going to drink a large charge of lemonade from Panera Bread. So is caffeine that bad for you? No, but be aware. So go get that Red Bull. You deserve it. Don't drink the Demon Energy shot, though. Don't drink the Demon Energy.